Well, hello everyone. Welcome to Unquestionable Union. We are James and Alma. This podcast series is not about perfect couples. This is about couples who have made many mistakes and have chosen to stay. This is about and for couples who have had many ups and downs, whose early relationships started off in some form of betrayal, and they chose to stay together anyway. And while they stayed together anyway, they didn't really have the role models. They didn't have the roadmap. They didn't have strong leadership. They didn't have somebody who showed them the way how to properly stay together. So they navigated their early relationship, their early marriage, and sometimes well into decades of marriage, the best that they could. And they're waking up today and saying, enough. I don't want to go anywhere. I want to stay with you. I choose you. I choose what we have. Yet I choose to do it differently.
Enough of the roller coaster, enough of the we're good, then we're below the ground and all that. Let's stabilize.
Yes. So if this resonates with you, if this is you, please know that you're not wrong. You're human. There's nothing wrong with you. There's nothing wrong with your spouse. You have just operated from a place of ignorance. Yeah,
like most things in life, right?
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So you want to share our early story a little bit so that the world knows why we are.
Absolutely.
Why we have done this.
Yeah.
You and I got together when we were 21.
Yeah.
Yes. James and I have had this thing where I've totally actually forgot about it until you brought it up a couple of weeks ago. Pretty early in our relationship, James got us this James and Alma Forever star.
Yeah. There was like International Star Registry or something was one of those things. I'm like, I don't know, it's your birthday or Valentine's Day or something. It's like James and Alma Forever. So that's
Yeah. So we, from very early on, we were friends for a long time, and then
hanging out, partying, doing all kinds of dumb kid stuff,
all the wrong things that you don't want your children doing
or know about.
And we had kind of dated other people while we were friends, and then we decided, you know what, no, we really want to be together. We didn't know how to be together. To kind of give you some background on me, I come from a place where my father died when I was very young. I was almost 3 years old, and I didn't know any good stories about my father. I didn't know. I never heard anything that would signify that I had a strong role model in my life, that I could have had a strong role model in my life. So I was taught to believe that, hey, thank God he died. If he didn't die, our life would be a lot worse. So I was very sad. I spent big chunk of my young life very sad about that. I thought that there was something wrong with me, that if I didn't have a dad, and why didn't I have a dad? So obviously there was something wrong with me to not deserve to have a whole family like my other friends did. And then when later on in life, I was angry about that. I was angry that I didn't have a dad. And then I during the late teenage years and early into my 20s, it was like, I don't need a man. I can do it all by myself.
Fiercely independent.
So there was so much confusion about relationships for me. So then I met James. And want to share your story a little bit?
Background wise?
Yeah.
I think what's important to say, like to put it in like psychological terms, you've had some pretty significant attachment wounds.
Absolutely.
As a result of that, right? And we sort of like combine because I too have attachment wounds. let's see, I was born premature. So I meant that I was in the hospital alone without like kind of close mother's touch for a while. And, you know, I've just always had this mother wound where I never felt like I could really get the love that I needed. And just kind of framed my whole world. I was always like grasping for validation and for acceptance and love from that perspective. That coupled with this sort of like, you know, macho, like, you know, we don't cry, we make fun of crying, that kind of thing. So I was in this kind of like emotional stasis, yet wanting to have some more. So I had very immature, super skewed sort of views into what a relationship meant and what was a good idea and what was off limits. So I was wild, kind of like screaming into my 20s, just, you know, drinking a lot, doing drugs, and you know, trying to escape the pain that I felt from my childhood.
Yeah. So when you have those backgrounds, these two kids, they meet up and they're like, you're my person because I recognize everything inside of me in you, right? We're just mirrors of each other. You tend to attach to that person, and that's really what happened in our case. And we spent our early 20s hurting each other. Pretty early on, we had betrayal in our relationship.
I was unfaithful. I was seeking attention and validation outside of the relationship, and hid it for a while, and finally got to the point where I felt so freaking guilty that I had to say something about it. And that was this huge turning point. You know, like part of me knew that it could be a good thing. Like it could be the thing that would bring us closer together. I knew that. It was definitely a change agent, a catalyst for me. But that betrayal early on, before we got married, was a significant blow to the stability of the relationship, and would be that way for a long time.
Yeah, because the confession did happen, but we did not have the proper guidance, proper leadership to repair that the right way, right? It was because we knew we loved each other, and I grew up in an environment where betrayal was very common. So I decided, you know what, this sucks, this hurts, but I have nobody to go to for advice. I have nobody who's gonna guide me through this. So I'm going to do it on my own. And my own decision was I'm going to stay with him and we're going to work this out. I'm a very driven, forceful person. So I saw it as a challenge. But when you see something as a challenge, you just want to face it head on, but you're like, I don't have the right tools to face this head on. So you're scrambling, and as you scramble, you think, okay, if we get married, we're gonna, fix this, right? We even thought if we get pregnant, we're gonna fix this.
There's all kinds of different ways and tools that you can grasp for that you think are good ideas that won't actually solve anything. They actually add a lot of complexity. In our case, I think they did help though to a degree.
Kept us together.
Yeah, for sure. So like from that perspective, it was good. It's just so immature and graspy, and you have the potential. Like so many, I think a lot of people do that, and they end up not being together. And then so this bargaining chip, this mechanism that you chose to keep it together, now is suffering because you're apart, and that's not a situation anyone wants.
So then we got married. We just kind of dealt with it the best way that we could. Right? We both have this in attachment style terms. We both are fearful avoidance, right? So there are times when if we would feel like the other one is moving away from us, we would kind of throw something in there, just some sort of it's almost like dumping like a dumpster in front of the other person, saying, see, you can't you can't create a distance between us because you caused all this pain, right? Or it would be my favorite flavor of causing chaos was actually just to kind of stop talking. I would just distance myself. I would stop talking to him, and then he would think, okay, what did I do wrong? I must be bad. I am this, I am that, right? It would just kind of exasperate all of his insecurities,
which totally played into my attachment wounds and my hypervigilance around wondering what I'm going to do to set off my mom or whatever. So like that. In to be fair, that's what kind of drew us together. It's the kind of thing that, like, you see all the flaws from your parent and your potential mate, and you're like, I know how to deal with that.
Yeah,
I know how to suffer with that. Or in my case, I was like, I can help. I've kind of been brought up and bred to nurture and support and bring you out of this muck, and it ended up being true. So God doesn't make mistakes. But like, what a freaking journey it took to get there.
Right. Yeah. And for me, I knew, because I was pretty much, I don't think I had much of childhood, considering my obligations to my family when I was a kid, and then obviously going through the war, and really just my childhood was wrecked, and I grew up very fast. So I saw him as somebody who needed a mother. that was me, right? So I would almost like start to raise him, to coach him, to teach him, to make him into this, to mold him into this man that I needed in my life. And how that ended up looking was, hey, if I help him become the grown man, it helps me because I get the man that I raised, and it helps
sculpted.
Can
we use that term?
Yes,
so I don't feel like such a little baby.
And then that attaches him to me, because now it's like, why would he leave somebody who has helped sculpt him, right? Yeah. So it was very dark, and obviously that wasn't it. That wasn't the only thing in our relationship, but there was a lot of darkness in that. And I don't think that's quite unusual for people of backgrounds such as ours.
No, and you found with the clients that you work with that there's common thread. It keeps coming up, which is what has caused you to like actually see like, hey, there's a problem here. If there's a betrayal that happens early in the relationship, if it mirrors or mimics or what's the word? Not replays. There's a thing that we do where we kind of redo the stuff that happened to us as kids. Reenact. If we reenact these wounds, these patterns, then like you're kind of screwed. And to get yourself out of it, good luck with that. We didn't figure it out for a really freaking long time. It wasn't long. Yeah. Over 15 years to get it figured out, and we finally have.
And we've gone through therapy individually and together. Yep. And we've gone to all the events, and we've done Tony Robbins events.
We've screamed at each other, yelled at each other, got blackout drunk.
Read all the books.
We've done every possible thing that you could freaking do.
The good and the bad.
The good and the bad. Yeah, to try to figure this stuff out. Just spend money on each other for dumb reasons. Just all kinds of like, if I just do this, maybe you'll stay with me. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And now we have an unquestionable union that, because of the repatterning we've done, because of the daily standard practices that we invoke every single day when we wake up, every single day before we go to bed, it's like there's this stability now. There's this this trust, this faith, this certainty. It's like, which allows us to freaking sail in life. We're no longer dragging each other, like drowning each other, like, so that, it's like, I feel like we'd hold each other underwater just so that we don't freaking leave, it's like, I'm going to just like, stay with me, damn it. And we would just murder each other along the way.
Yeah. That's really what it was for us.
Yeah.
And then seeing people, in their 40s, 50s, 60s, even, they're actually experiencing the same thing. The people that I get to talk to, they're in their 60s, and on the surface, they have everything. They literally have multiple multi-million-dollar homes in all the important cities in this country, and they have multiple businesses. They have all the investments in the right places, the real estate places, the residential, the commercial, they're all of these different things. And they have these diversified portfolios. They have incredible children. If you made a post, it's almost like you could just put all kinds of words on this poster and with 5 stars, right?
Yeah.
And you would just be like, yeah, diversified portfolio, multiple houses, they look amazing, they smell amazing, they have great children,
Good looking.
they're good looking,
Yeah.
they treat each other so well in public, everybody gravitates towards them, everybody wants to be in their proximity. It's like, who are these people? So on the surface, you look at these people and they're just magnificent. And
what happens behind the scenes?
And what behind the scenes,
when they get on a call with you, what happens?
Yes, that obviously, which is what we've done many times, then screaming, hanging up, making faces, just getting into each other's space, yelling, almost, it's almost like toddlers, almost touching, but not really. It's like, I'm not touching you. I'm not touching you.
Right.
There's so much fear in these beautiful, beautiful humans' hearts. And really, when we strip everything to the bare bones, so to speak, what I hear is, I don't feel hurt. I don't feel like I matter to her. I feel like she avoids me, or I feel like he gives me the cold shoulder, or I feel like she makes fun of me. It's almost like you have these toddlers saying, Mom, he's making fun of me.
I mean, that's what it is, right? Because they're in their immature, parts in that moment.
Yeah. And it's just simple things like when I'm trying to talk to her, she's interrupting me, right? It's things like that. And and so many people out there, they talk about, well, they need better communication, and it's not communication. These people are perfectly well versed in communicating. They actually do work that requires them to be succinct, clear communicators. So it's not communication that's the problem. It's really just that fear of losing love.
Yeah, that's what underlies everything. Will you be there for me? Are you really going to be there for me?
Are you really going to?
Even though I'm too much or not enough.
Yeah.
In my own mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
And what it is again, it's that fear of being not safe, right? When if you're not here for me, I'm going to end up alone. I'm going to be alone in a dark room or in a dark house, and that's going to feel very scary for my nervous system. I'm not going to be able to handle that. And when you think about it, these are grown people, and you may say, well, you have your kids, or of course you can be in your own house by yourself, but to the nervous system, being alone is terrifying.
We're genetically wired to fear being alone. We're wired to get kicked out of the tribe. If you're alone and the winter comes or drought comes or whatever, like, you're done. So you need people. You need the generosity of others, right? We need a stable partnership in order to build anything.
Absolutely, yes. So and when that's not being modeled to you, I don't know if you resonate with this in any way, and if you do, please share that. And whether it's publicly or behind the scenes, if you want to send us a message on that, but send me a message on that. But that is that debilitating fear of, hey, I'm going to be alone. I'm going to lose connection. I'm going to not belong. And if I don't belong, I'm not going to be loved. And when I'm not loved, I'm useless, right? So people, if you think about it, back in the days, children who were not loved, they were thrown away. They would die. They would die.
Yeah.
They were left behind by the people who didn't love them. something for whatever reason. So not being loved, not belonging means death to our nervous system.
Mm-hmm.
So we do all kinds of crazy things that on the surface look crazy, right? It's like, yeah, I don't know why you're doing that, why you're behaving like a child, right? People always tell us that, but it's really our nervous system is screaming, it's scrambling to survive.
Yeah, I'll just speak for me because I feel like it's important to give real examples and not just, like you can speak from a wealth of like collection and aggregation because you have a lot of clients that you deal with, but like I'm going to speak to as a participant in this relationship. Here's what I do. And for me, I have a deep fear that I am rotten inside. I'm bad. I'm a bad boy. I'm just going to do bad things. And so if I get any hint, I'm super hyper vigilant, looking for, dissatisfaction. And if I get any hint of it, frozen, done. I'm tight. My shoulders are up. I'm hunched over. I become this kind of pathetic, like boy who's seeking attention and love from mommy so that he can be told that he's okay and that he's never going to be left and that he's going to get the love that he's always wanted his entire freaking life. That's my pattern. That's how I've shown up. And it's only been very recently that we've been able to not operate with that as my primary, mechanism for getting connection from you.
Yeah. And in the Western society, what we're also taught is figure it out.
Yeah.
Figure it out. You're a grown man. You can figure this out on your own.
Don't cry.
Don't bring that shit to me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You should be able to create this for yourself. I remember us going through something like this, hearing these things. For me, safety is just this crazy thing. If I don't feel safe, I can't function. I'm going to cause chaos. I'm going to withdraw. I'm going to cry. I'm going to turn into this blanket of just depression and
or turn something into a big thing.
Yeah, or turn something into a big thing. Yeah. And I remember us being in couples therapy, and the therapist said, well, that's your responsibility. You're responsible for making yourself feel safe. And that immediately turned me off from her. And because we didn't know any better, James agreed with her. And I'm like, okay, I'm on my own here. I'm completely alone, right? So we are taught to take our most vulnerable, our most scared parts of ourselves and figure it out, deal with it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I think, there's a truth to that, but it doesn't mean you're left to figure it out by yourself, right? Like I could act to give you all the reassurance in the world, and there could be a version of you, a part of you, a stance you could take where you kind of reject it and still feel unsafe. Mm-hmm. And it wouldn't matter what I would do to make that. So in that sense, what is said there is true. But that doesn't mean call me when you figured it out, which is probably what you were thinking in that moment, something like that, where it's like, okay, I'm going to be over here, you be over there. And when you feel safe, then we can kind of reconnect and figure it out together.
Yeah.
But what we did instead was I went all fucking in on like every single morning when we wake up, I let you know that I will love you forever. I will always be your faithful, loving husband until we die. That sets the tone for the entire day. Yeah. We also have a thing that we do at night where we commit to each other that we're going to love each other forever. So safety was really felt by you once we committed to those things, which is like new rituals and patterns that we introduce into the relationship, which is part of what you teach others now, based off of our actual suffering and pain and burning that, we've developed these tools in a freaking fire.
Yeah.
And they work, which is why we have them. And what you teach in your program.
Yeah. And that's what it is, understanding what safety means to the other person, right? For me, it is, I didn't have too many people there for me or any people there for me from probably 90% of my childhood. And
you were alone. Let's just be straight honest. You were left alone in the house and you weren't able, you didn't have food cooked for you most of the time. Like you had to figure it out from a very young age. So there's a big thing about safety for you for a good fucking reason.
Right.
Yes.
And So for me, safety means you're going to be here with me. You're going to be here for me, right? It's not conditional, right? You are here. You chose me as your life partner through all of it, and you are here for me. You're not here for you. You're here for me. And when I'm here for you, not for me, that's how. That's the only way for in our relationship that then we can take the responsibility and say, you know what, because you are here for me, that gives me this permission to step away, work on myself, knowing that when I come back, I'm welcomed back. So we approach it from both angles.
100%. And it's not just working on yourself, but it's also like, achieving something individually too,
Yes,
like,
yes.
because you can't achieve something individually if you're just falling apart. Well, I guess you can to a degree, but you're always going to be limited by the amount of baggage you deal with, like on a daily basis, right? So,
yeah,
it's good to have that stable, supportive person, because even right now, like I'm about to launch a huge product, and it's a major thing for me, and I'm freaking out about it and scared and like nervous about all the typical human stuff. Like will people like it? Will it work? Will I fail? Will I fumble the ball and like, not get it over the finish line? And you're here supporting me, telling me like all the time, like, here's what you do, here's what you do, here, do this, do this, do this. And if we were bickering at each other, I wouldn't have that. Right. So in addition,
I just told you, go figure it out on your own.
Yeah. Then it's like, it divides us. So like these tools, these techniques, this state where we are right now, this unquestionable union is, it's real.
Yeah. So where you're finding yourself, this is why we wanted to come on camera and share our personal experiences, because no matter where you're finding yourself, just knowing that, your situation, while it is unique to you, it is not so unique. It isn't. Most of us were not lucky enough to have role models who knew what to do themselves, right? So we're not blaming anybody. We're just saying that, hey, not only did we not know, but other people who raised us, who made us who we are, they didn't know either. So they didn't know what they didn't know, and neither do you, right? So having that compassion towards yourselves and those who didn't know what to give you, that is the first step, right? Just having that compassion, having that understanding and acknowledgement of who you really are and where you come from and why you are the way you are. That's the best thing that I can offer you right now.
Word.
Yeah.
Where should people go to find out where they are? Because you have a quiz.
Yes, I have a quiz. And, in order for you to actually understand or to even decide to make progress in your marriage, is to really understand how you're showing up in your marriage when shit hits the fan, right? How are you showing up when you're in disagreement? And the best way to do that is really I have a quiz. You don't have to take it, but you're definitely welcome to take it at intimacyrepatterning.com, and just really seeing how, hey, when we're arguing or when we're in some sort of disagreement, how am I showing up? And it has, I think, 10 questions, and it's going to show you, hey, are you the fixer? Are you the avoider? Are you this? Right? So you can see, oh man, Alma got me pinned down to this. So I think this is how I show up. This is how I argue. Oh, and not arguing is arguing, right? It's perpetrating argument. It's making perpetuating argument.
Yeah. In the absence of like conflict, then you're left to try to wonder what the other's thinking or feeling or whatever, and you make it 10 times worse.
Exactly.
100%.
So even when you say, I don't want to argue with you, I'm going to leave now, which a lot of men tend to do because men are less communicative.
And we can't handle it.
Verbally communicative.
We can't handle it.
You can. That's the thing. You're taught to believe that you can't handle it, but you can.
Oh yeah, exactly. We believe we can handle it.
Right.
100%. No, everything changes when you freaking stand there and you take the feminine force coming at you at 1,000 miles an hour and you can't handle it. That's when it really changes. But that's at the
because
next
you have
level
handled
stuff.
everything that was thrown your way. Otherwise, you wouldn't be here. So
Yeah, but like there's a way to do it that sucks, where I'm just throwing it back at you and I'm not listening, I'm not acknowledging and all that, which is part of what we go over. And there's a way where I can just be like, okay, this is not the time for me to prove that I was right, because all that's going to do is ruin things for me selfishly. So like I got to do something else here. And that's what one of the things that I figured out in order to
What was the call for you?
It was a repeated, like you would tell me you're not, I don't know if it's acknowledgement. It's like empathize and acknowledge and like kind of like my whole thing is like, I don't ever want to be in trouble. When I was a kid, I got in trouble a lot and I was grounded. So that meant I was spending time alone, and that fucking sucked. You know, I had Nintendo, I would go like zone out. That's part of, you know, leaving the present moment is my flavor of suffering, I guess you could call that. But like, I'm like, I am not going to let this freaking die, because I do not want that feeling. And I would do anything to fight that feeling. And my only mechanism for doing that was to prove that I wasn't doing something wrong. And it's, you know, trivial freaking stuff, right? But if I felt like I was doing something wrong, then I'd be like, you know, I basically stopped existing. So F that. I just fought like tooth and nail. And then I realized, like, okay, it took a long time. You would tell me to listen to you. I got the book, The Way of the Superior Man, that helped out a bunch. I joined a men's group that is influenced by that way of being, where there's masculine and there's feminine, and the feminine's going to come at you with like a force. And you have to sit there and take it and prove that you're not going to be dissuaded and you know, crumpled by that force. And once you can prove that, then you'll do whatever I freaking say. Like once I sit there and actually take your energy and don't fight you and just acknowledge you and let you just get rid of it, you're like butter, you melt, and I got you. And like that's everything you've ever wanted me to do was that. So it was a lot of pain and trial and error and failing. I've failed a ton at that. So often, so many times, but finally, you know, and still today, and it's because in that moment I was triggered, right? I was in little boy energy, right? I was acting from a place of scarcity and fear. I was, you know, to use the Pete Walker CPTSD terms, I was in an emotional flashback where I'm like, I don't want to get in trouble. If, you know, trouble means I'm, you know, I could lose you. And I, because I fucked up in our relationship, I firmly believe that I was we talked about this a few months ago. I believe I was one thread, one piece of floss away from getting cut off and having you leave me. So that just drove me to fight like crazy to prove that I was not wrong, so that you wouldn't leave me. Yeah. I mean, we can talk about this stuff all day.
Yeah. And I think this is something that we have to talk about, you know, because we see, again, that the couple that I mentioned, the real life couple that I mentioned,
and they're just one. I mean,
they're just
like
one, of course, but you know, we look at these couples, especially in our environment, and these couples look good, they look amazing, they look at each other with those admiring eyes, and we're like, oh, why isn't my man looking at me like that, or why isn't my wife looking at me like that? Because I know we're kind of bouncing back and forth, but I remember a long time ago when we lived in Florida, you showed me there was a couple in our neighborhood, in our HOA. They were team, their husband and wife team, like real estate team.
They sold our house.
Yeah. Like he's the realtor, and she's like in the back office person, but maybe she's a realtor too, I don't know. But they had a picture of like he's standing there and she's like this, and you showed me. It was kind of like in some of the darkest times of our.
Yeah, I was like, I want it to be like this.
I want us to be like this. I want us to be like this power couple, right?
Yeah.
And at the time, I was like, can we do that? Can that be us? And I wasn't sure that that could be us, but we look at these couples out there and they look like that. Maybe you're looking at somebody who looks like that, like this couple looked to for us.
Obviously, you can go on Instagram or wherever, you see lots of examples of that, you know, and it looks great on the surface, but behind the scenes might not be so peachy.
It just isn't. It isn't. If we've been together for 24 years. For about 15 of those years, we struggled.
Yeah.
And we were into personal development. We were all about growth. I remember one of my cousins telling me, man, you guys, like when I think about my own relationship, I always think about you guys. What would James and Alma do? And I'm like, okay. Like we were higher up for some people and we were in the dumpster. So
well, we would have, like you were talking about, like
Yeah.
we would have highs, but then we would get so low, and like where we wouldn't freaking
Talk to each
not
other.
only not be intimate for long periods of time, but just not talk to each other for days.
Yeah. So wherever you are, wherever you're finding yourself, please know that you're not in the wrong. You can't be anywhere else.
As long as you're committed to never giving up, there's a way.
Yeah.
I think that's the key here. Like, you gotta really, 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 really want it to work. And it doesn't matter what kind of betrayal that happened, there's a way to work through it, to find the underlying cause, to find out, the decade or decades of damage that have been done in between. There's ways to see each other, empathize with each other. One of the things that's been happening for us in this last year or two is like the amount of empathy that we have for each other. Like, oh man, I see now. Once you have those kind of insights, it's like, it's game over. Like you just don't go back there. You don't go back to those fights anymore.
Yeah, because I think that empathy, like you begin to have empathy with yourself when you're consistently shown empathy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a positive feedback loop.
Exactly.
It's an upward spiral.
Yeah,
Totally is.
Because I would think that now you are more compassionate towards yourself, towards like
Totally.
when you make a mistake or do something wrong.
Totally. I knocked over a glass of water here in the middle of the podcast, and I'm like, yeah, no big deal. Like in the past, I would have freaked out and gone and gotten the towel right away and like judged myself and all kinds of stuff. But like, no, it's fine. I'll deal with it when we're done. No big deal.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah. But that wasn't created by you. That was created by you noticing, okay, I'm being given grace, being given empathy. There's that positive loop. So you just adopt that.
Yeah. We give each other space, and we get space ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
So
wrap it up.
So let's wrap it up. Please do take that quiz. Take that assessment. It's really just a quick 10-question assessment. It's so wonderful to kind of know yourself. You're like, oh man, yes, that is how I argue. And if you want to get even more curious, you're like, man, this seems like same type of arguing that I did when I was 7 and when I was 21 or whatever that is.
And maybe your parents argued that way too.
Yeah.
Maybe.
So that's really just a little piece of self-awareness. And then you do with that what you believe you need to do. But that's a big offering. That's a big invitation from us. And whatever's happening, give yourself that grace, because please know you are not unique in this, even though it may seem lonely and alone. It may seem like you're behind. You're just not. You're just not. And please know that there's no person is broken, and no marriage is beyond fixing as long as both people are all in. So all the best with yours.
Peace.